Hello friends, welcome to Amani Academy. My name is Chooks. In this video, we are going to solve this chemistry question on your screen. But before we do that, please, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so now so as to encourage me to keep doing what I'm doing. Thank you very much. So the question is, if 1 gram of copper 2 oxide and copper 1 oxide was quantitatively reduced to 0.839 gram of copper, what was the mass of copper 2 oxide in the original mixture? So what we are dealing with here is a mixture of copper 2 oxide and copper 1 oxide. And the mass of this mixture is what? 1 gram. But we are not told the mass of copper 2 oxide in the mixture. In fact, that is actually what we are asked to find. And we are not also told the mass of copper 1 oxide in the what? Mixture. So I'm going to represent the mass of copper 2 oxide in the mixture with X, and I'm going to represent the mass of copper 1 oxide in the mixture with Y, so that X plus Y is equals to what? 1 gram. And we can call this equation 1. I hope this is understood. Now, another information that we have from the question is that this particular mixture were quantitatively reduced to 0.839 gram of copper. When we hear about reduction as a chemistry student, you know they are talking about either removal of oxygen or addition of hydrogen. So in this case, they are saying that oxygen were removed because we are talking about oxides here, and every oxide contains oxygen. So when they say that this mixture were reduced, it means that all the oxygen in it were removed and we were left with only what? Copper. Okay, and that is why the mass of the copper we are left with is 0.839 what? Gram. But we do not know the mass of copper that is from the X gram of copper 2 oxide, and we don't also know the mass of copper from Y gram of copper 1 oxide. So I'm going to create another equation, which is mass of copper from X gram of copper 2 oxide plus mass of copper from Y gram of copper 1 oxide will give us what? The mass of copper that is left, which is 0.839 what? Gram. So, but how do we find the mass of copper that is from X gram of copper 2 oxide? And how do we also find the mass of copper from Y gram of copper 1 oxide? So, let's solve for X gram of copper 2 oxide first. Theoretically, 1 mole of every copper 2 oxide will give us 1 atom of copper and 1 atom of oxygen. But our interest here is in the copper that is what? Produced, since all the oxygens were removed. So, from this theory, the mass of copper 2 oxide is 79.55 gram. And this produced 63.55 gram what? Copper. Because the molar mass of copper is what? 63.55 gram. So we will now say if 79.55 gram of copper 2 oxide gives us 63.55 gram of copper, X gram of copper 2 oxide will now give us 63.55 times X divided by 79.55 gram of what? Copper, which is 0.7989 X gram of what? Copper. Now when it comes to copper 1 oxide, the molar mass of copper 1 oxide is 143.1 gram, and 1 mole of every copper 1 oxide will give us 2 atoms of copper and 1 atom of what? Oxygen. And the mass of 2 atoms of copper is 127.1 gram. So to find out the mass of copper from Y gram of copper 1 oxide, we will now say that if 143.1 gram of copper 1 oxide gives us 127.1 gram of copper, Y gram of copper 1 oxide will now give us Y times 127.1 divided by 143.1 gram of what? Copper. And the answer is what? 0.8882 Y gram of what? copper. So we now rewrite this equation by saying 0.7989x gram plus 0.8882y is equals to 0.839 gram. Please, I hope this is very clear, because what this thing simply means is that the mass of copper from x gram of copper 2 oxide plus the mass of copper from y gram of copper 1 oxide is equals to what? 0.839. So I'm going to call this equation 2. Now we are going to combine both equation 1 and equation 2 to find our variables, which is what? X and y. And the method we are going to use to solve this simultaneous equation is substitution method. So in equation 1, we are going to make y the subject of the formula. And when we do that, we have that y is equals to 1 minus x. So we will now substitute y equals to 1 minus x in equation 2. So anywhere I see y, I will write 1 minus x. So substituting y equals to 1 minus x in equation 2, we will now have 0.7989x plus 0.8882. Instead of writing y, I will now write in bracket 1 minus x, which is equals to what? 0.839. Then 0.7989x plus 0.8882 times 1, we will have 0.8882. Then the same 0.882 times minus x, we will have 0.882x, which is equals to what? 0.839. Collecting like terms, we will have that 0.8882 minus 0.839 is equals to 0.8882x minus 0.7989x. Our answer will now be 0.0492 is equals to 0.0893x. Dividing both sides by coefficient of x will be equals to what? 0.0492 divided by 0.0893. The answer is equals to what? 0.55 gram. So the amount of copper 2 oxide in the mixture is 0.55 gram. I hope this is understood. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video.